Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back with another... Oh, God. That's so unprofessional. Blumhouse wants to airdrop me? Okay.
Enjoy this double feature of Night Swim and Imaginary. They are being uploaded to your phone now.
Oh, God. Welcome back to the garage. Gerald here with you. Oh my God. Another thing in the horror realm. You know I'm thrilled. It's not going to be an awards player, but is it a fun movie? I'm talking about the new Blumhouse horror thriller called Drop. It's directed by horror comedy filmmaker extraordinaire Christopher Landon. I freaking love this guy's movies typically. And it stars Megan Fahey in our lead role. You may know her from, I believe, the second season of White Lotus. And I know she was in the movie Your Monster with Melissa Barrera last year. But her film career is relatively young, as this is only really her first major feature leading role. Let's talk about Drop. Violet, a widowed mother on her first date in several years, arrives at an upscale restaurant where she is relieved that her date Henry is more charming and handsome than she even expected. But their chemistry begins to curdle as Violet begins being irritated and then terrorized by a series of anonymous airdrops to her smartphone. Whoa, doggy. So let me ask you something. Do you think that in 2025, do you think it sounds scary to receive anonymous airdrops on your phone, knowing that the person has to be within like 50 or 100 feet of you? You don't know anybody there except the person that's sharing dinner with you, who also you barely know, by the way. Is that scary? Is that like horror movie material? I didn't really think so. So it's Christopher Landon. I don't know a lot about Megan Fahey. Let's see what the hell we're dealing with here. I absolutely loved this movie. So far in 2025, I know it's only April, and I know also that the year has been pretty lackluster so far. This is the best time I have had in a movie theater this year so far. Oh my God. And this was an absolute crowd pleaser. I went to an early screening of this, especially when we get to the climax of the film, the last like 15 minutes or so. Everything kind of comes to a head. We're finally kind of outside the restaurant and we get a pretty elaborate car chase and some other shit going on, home invasion type stuff. Some stuff you've seen in the trailer with like her doing basically Harrison Ford from Air Force One hanging off a building and shit. I mean, that stuff's in the trailers. That's not a spoiler. So what I want to tell you, you have to absolutely 1000% suspend your disbelief for this film. You have to just submit to what Landon and the performers are doing in this movie for you. It is essentially a chamber piece, modernized around social media, around airdropping, Wi-Fi. I mean, all the stuff that this type of movie wouldn't have worked even like probably 5 to 10 years ago can work now with the kind of society and pop culture that we live in, because there's a ton of memes being shared over the airdrop, GIFs. Is it GIFs or GIFs? I always say GIFs. Now, if you are able to suspend your disbelief, you will probably be like I was. And this is a great ride. It's basically a 90-minute film. It's really tight. We get a little bit of setup in the beginning of the movie. Her sister, who is very funny in the role, by the way, comes over to babysit for her son because she's a single mother. We find out a little bit of a backstory with why she's a single mother. I don't want to give it away because it is a bit of a plot twist kind of as to what happens with her son's father in the film and why she's single and going on this date. So I'll kind of leave that to you to find out when you watch the movie. Actor Brandon Skellner plays Henry, the main male lead in the film, her date on this particular night. And he just kind of went through the whole date, which essentially was over an hour or so of the runtime of the movie, and was letting her kind of get up and leave the table. She went to the bathroom several times. She was like crying in various scenarios, having basically nervous breakdowns at the table. Like, she was a damn hot mess. Now, we as the audience know that she's essentially being terrorized via the airdrop system within the restaurant. But he is not made aware of that because the perpetrator is basically like, if you tell him or if you tell anybody, I'm going to kill your son. And there's like these surveillance videos that she has set up in her house through her home security system, so she can see on her phone into her house even when she's not there. So she sees that there's actually invaders in her home and kind of keeping watch over her young son, who's maybe about 5 or 6 years old at the time of the movie. You know, would I stick around if, you know, this lady was acting the way she was acting on a date? I just wouldn't feel like she was into me based on what was happening and not knowing why she was acting the way she was acting. And also, she kind of admits all the baggage that she's kind of bringing with her. So that part I had to kind of like get over, like, oh, well, he's obviously has to stay here for the purposes of the film. And obviously if he leaves, you know, the invaders are going to kill her son. So she has to figure out how to get him to stay there. Violet in the movie and Henry, I think, worked well together on that first date kind of awkwardness. Their banter was very playful. And Megan Fahey did a great job of carrying that kind of like, oh my God, like I can't think about anything but my son right now, but I can't show my date that that's what I'm thinking about. So I have to kind of make up all these elaborate things or borrow things from my past to use it as an excuse as to why I'm acting the way I'm acting, or as to why I seem nervous or whatever, or why I'm crying. So I thought she did a great job at kind of translating that to him and also to us as the audience. Because the whole time we're thinking, how is she going to get out of this? Because, by the way, the restaurant's in a high-rise skyscraper, like 100 floors up. So it's not like you can just walk out the front door. I can remember in 2017, I think it was, when I saw Happy Death Day. That was the definition of a pleasant surprise at the movies. And it was my favorite movie-going experience that particular year. I love horror comedies when they're done right. And Christopher Landon has a knack for incorporating just enough modernization and like pop culture references to be relevant to like younger folks, which I am not, but also to connect with us kind of old school horror fanatics as well. And he did it again with Freaky in 2020. I remember going to see that at a drive-in because it came out during COVID. There was a period of time when a lot of the indoor theaters that I would attend were closed or had very limited seating. So I actually went to see it at a drive-in theater. And that was also the best time I had at the movies that particular year. Drop is a great time at the cinema. It absolutely is a crowd pleaser, like I said earlier. Megan Fahey is breathtakingly phenomenal in the role. She literally is the anchor of this film. If her performance as a single mom who is kind of tortured by her past while also being tortured by the scenario that she finds herself in with this airdrop attack did not work, then the movie would not work either. Brandon Sklenar is an actor that I was not familiar with who plays Henry, the male lead, and he is a heartthrob. I mean, I don't know why I haven't heard of this guy. He actually reminds me of a young Russell Crowe, and I was thinking that as I was watching the movie. I was like, he kind of looks like Russell Crowe minus 20 years. So take that for what you will. If you think Russell Crowe's hot, then that's what this guy is. When we get to the climax of the film, don't try to like come up with logistics. Don't think about realism. Just let it happen to you. Okay? I mentioned Air Force One earlier where dudes are hanging off of planes and shit. It's that kind of stuff, you know? And then once they exit the restaurant and we get our kind of climactic battle, if you will, at the home, which is only where about the last 10 minutes or so of the movie takes place. The rest of it's in this restaurant. When we get there, there's a lot of unbelievable stuff too. It's very convenient how Megan Fahey ends up back at the home in a very short amount of time, by the way, which is crazy to me. But I understand, you know, I'm not going to trade that off to make it believable, to make the movie an extra 30 minutes long, because then you're going to have a drawn out situation where it's like, I'm not going to be giving it a good review because I'm going to say the pacing was bad. It was overlong. So that's what I would be saying, but I'm not saying that. I understand that the point of this movie is not to be as realistic and believable as possible from somebody that would be terrorized via text messages or whatever. It's more so to give you a heart-pounding thriller that if you let your foot off the gas a little bit, in this case I'm talking about Christopher Landon, then people are going to start to second guess things. Like, oh, how did she do that? So you're telling me she did this? Or that guy was able to do that? Like, you're going to start questioning that stuff, but you don't have really an opportunity to do that because Landon really speeds up the proceedings in the last act of the film and really truncates to get us where we need to be for the action of the movie. And I actually really like that and respect that. It's not only a thriller, it's also a little bit of a home invasion film, like I said. It's a little bit of a family drama when you factor in the stuff with her ex, I believe, husband or boyfriend. I can't remember if they were married previously. Obviously, their son. She's being a single mom now. And then also it does this kind of like mystery whodunit vibes because Christopher Landon does an awesome job of once she gets to the restaurant of introducing you to all these kind of like side characters, almost like extras in the film, but just enough to where you remember their kind of place in the movie in the restaurant. You know, there's some attention paid to the piano player. We get a couple weird statements made from a couple other patrons in the restaurant that she ends up bumping into. Somebody that she meets in the restroom. The bartender she has a couple back and forths with. So Landon does that thing, right, where he introduces like 5 or 6 different people that you know are there in that area. And then also you have Henry as the date, which is not off the hook either. So you've got like 6 or 7 people that could be the culprit, that could be doing the airdrops. And they're all like a little suspicious in their own way, you know? And I love that. It's like a game of Clue, you know, or it's like a murder mystery, and you're trying to figure out what everybody's alibi is and who is the person holding the candlestick in the conservatory. So he did that too, which made it really a cool kind of mind-bending whodunit. Now, with that said, I don't know if it was just luck, but I did kind of guess and predict who the culprit ended up being. Obviously, I'm not going to give that away on this review. That didn't really let me down so much. It was just like, yeah, that makes sense. I kind of saw that coming, and it was still a great time. At the end of the day, the easiest thing I can say to you in summarizing this, and then I'll give you my score, is that a movie about somebody in a public space terrorizing an adult via airdrops and making threats via airdrops that are essentially memes that they've kind of altered to be threatening is stupid. It is a dumb premise that should not work and should really not scare us in any way. But Christopher Landon, and of course the performances by a lot of the actors here, did it. I mean, they made it a fun, enjoyable, kind of thrilling experience. And you really did feel for Violet, the single mother, who finally steps out to go on a date, and then of course this happens. So she's, you know, feels guilt the whole time and remorse, but she also really likes Henry and is connected to him on their date. So like she did a great job at being multi-layered emotionality, and it was an awesome time and an awesome performance from her. I also want to give a quick shout out from a technical standpoint at the production design and the score. I freaking loved the music in this thing. From Bear McCreary, who also did other scores for Landon and the Happy Death Day films and Freaky. I think he did a couple of the Godzilla films, The Babysitter that came on Netflix. Like, he's got a lot of modern horror scores that he's been doing. And then the production design of this elaborate restaurant, which by the way was called Palette, which tripped me out. She goes up to the restaurant and goes in, and the host is like, "Welcome to Palette. Will you be dining with us tonight?" And it's just like very like, you know, it tripped me out, Palette. I don't know whose idea it was to think of that, or if that's a real restaurant. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to offend anybody at Palette. Oh my God. But in the restaurant, it's like, you know, all these bright lights and almost like glass see-through floors and gold like chandeliers, and the piping around the crown molding is gold. And you know, if you've seen the trailer, you've probably seen various clips of it. It's a very beautiful set that I'm assuming is not a real restaurant. It might be. I don't know for sure. But if it's not, it was an awesomely devised set as well. And if it was a real place, the way it was lit and laid out with the different tables and stuff was great. The last thing I'm going to mention on this review is there is a side character in the movie. I mentioned there's about 6 or 7 of those that we get to meet kind of in our Clue game. One of them is the server, the guy that's waiting on them. I can only hope that the actor Jeffrey Self sees this video, because I want to tell you, sir, you are a fucking star, brother. You were absolutely dead ass hilarious in this film. He plays the waiter in the restaurant who it just happens to be his first day out of training, and he's waiting on Violet and Henry along with several other tables, including a group party of prom dates that are probably not being very good to him. And he is so funny. But it's like effortlessly funny. He's just funny because he's who he is. He's very like high energy and like over the top when he's giving the specials and when he's talking to them about their first date. Like, "Oh my God, me too. It's my first date with the restaurant." And shit like that. Like, just a hilarious personality. And you immediately are just like, "Oh my God, I want this guy to wait on me." If he was waiting on me, me and my wife or me and whoever that were having dinner there would be just like talking about him the whole time, because he's got such a crazy and bubbly personality that's infectious. And also being in the restaurant business, I knew people like that. So he just cracked me up. I wanted to give a very small shout out to Jeffrey Self, who's an actor I was not familiar with, but he plays the waiter Matt in the movie. And when you see Drop and you see Matt, you'll be like, "Oh my God, Gerald was right. This guy is fucking gold."
I think it's surprisingly funny for such an intense movie, and it's really moving as well, because I think it really explores, what so many people go through when they put themselves out there in a blind date situation. And it's
All right, so final rating time. So the movie Drop from director Christopher Landon is going to get a freaking sweet 8 out of 10 from me. Like I said, it is in like the top 2 or 3 movies of the year so far for me. You just have to go into it, suspend your disbelief, and just let it happen to you. Don't try to fill in plot holes. Don't try to wonder how the car got from point A to point B in 30 seconds. Don't do any of that. It's the magic of the movies, guys. Nicole Kidman told you, she fucking told you why we do this.
We come to this place for magic.
What did you guys think of Drop if you've seen it? Are you planning on seeing it? Did I sway you to go see it? If you go see it, or really even if you don't go see it, guys, put your airdrops on contacts only. Like, you shouldn't be getting drops from people on planes and shit. I've seen all that stuff going viral. Don't do that, because then something like this is going to happen to you. Thanks for tuning in to this review. I'll be back soon with some more content for you guys. Make sure you subscribe. We're doing the ANORA poster giveaway, and the only way you can win it is by being subscribed to this channel and leaving a comment on any video between now and the end of May. So make sure you do that, and I'll see you guys out here next time in the garage.